Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to my entertaining show where we talk about stuff going on today and things that are happening to me. Me and only me. Because I'm important.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm just not that. I really don't matter. But welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast, episode.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Did I even say the episode last show? 1,554, 1554, 1554.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I guess there's not really many other ways to say that number. I woke up this morning wanting a whole lot more slumber, and that was like 3:50. And I was woken up by my dog, Basil the Boxer. He's such a good dog, and he's a wonderful talker, as you know from that barking I just played.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And yesterday was just not that interesting because I did my usual thing
Daily
where I go up to
Podcast.
Fairmont Ridge and
Yeah!
oh yeah, there's this guy that used to own a comic book store in Podcastro Valley, Mont. And he has these two little dogs. They're really cute, and I walk with him. We were walking up this hill at the same time. Fairmont Ridge, to describe it to you, starts off with this big hill that you go up. And then next thing you know, you're looking out over the entire Bay Area, and I posted a zillion podcast pictures from it. And look who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? And to Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what. What? You know what's really sad is a guy who tries to do character voices. That's like, and he's in his almost his 50s and he's doing that. That's kind of sad. Yeah, God, that's so pathetic. You bring your horse, Benita? Nilly? Yeah, Mike. That's what that smell was. It's a pungent smell. My horse Nilly, but I bathe her every day. That's good. Look, it's a lot of water. Look who else walked in. Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh boy, here's some right now. Basil said, "Don't drink the root beer," but we'll watch it pour out, and then we'll just admire its odd glow.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The Brewmaster's root beer has an odd glow. The podcast picture today is, speaking of glows, is the glow of the lovely sunset in Carmel. This was on the weekend with Basil the Boxer, and we were looking out. Oh, that's when we talked to the two cute girls. There was this really cute redhead, and of course, I find out she's married. Wow, wow, wow. That's always the way, ain't it? Hey, so I've been listening to this interesting podcast. That was Carmel, by the way. Carmel by the beach. We got there. We hurried over there, and I thought the sun set later, but it's still setting really early. And so we got there just as the sun set. But it's very pretty. You can see it at mikesdailypodcast.com. So the guy at Fairmont Ridge, we'll go back to Trump in a moment, but he asked me, so how's your podcast going? And knowing that he has never, ever, ever listened to this podcast, and I go, oh, it's going good. I never know how to answer that question. It's going, I'm recording it. People possibly listen to it. I have a website for it. What do you say about your podcast? We talk about things that I just do. I mentioned I have Basil barks in the show, and he went, but to finally understand this guy, I have to either I was talking about, because we were talking about Netflix, and he goes, oh, there's a bunch of great shows on Netflix, and I'm like, no, there's not. I don't watch it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the hype. I'm tired of people go, oh, it's the best show ever, and I watch it and I'm like, ugh, terrible. And he's like, oh, no, it's great. Hey, and he told me yesterday too, they just raised the bill, the fee, the monthly fee for Netflix. Yes. It's now like $10 or something a month. So I thought I was only going to save like a couple hundred. Now I'm going to save an extra 100. And I'm so happy that I canceled my Netflix at the end of the year because I watch YouTube all the time. And I told him that I enjoy this thing I found on YouTube, that it's this, you can watch it. They're that H and the D. HG is like HGTV, and we don't want to do Home and Gardens. HD, and it's wonderful quality, and it's this beautiful blonde who's British, and she talks about all these huge monarchs, and just we don't understand in our little lives that we live the amount of power. Yeah, Trump's got a lot of power. Oh, and by the way, Trump Inc., a wonderful, it's a wonderful... Oh, here she is.
People often remember their history lessons as full of dates and battles, kings and queens.
So this girl is probably early 40s, and she's got this way of talking. When she looks at the camera, she's got this kind of a smirk, and she's very... You can't not watch her because she moves her face around and she blinks and she puts everything into every single word that she says, and she puts these at the mouths and everything. They'll put the camera on her, and it's this HD quality, beautiful film. And they film when she talks about the monarchs. She goes to the country, England or Russia or Germany, and films these beautiful historic landmarks and the art on the wall that's millennia old. And it's just such a engaging. Visually and audio, her voice. Listen to that voice.
Facts and figures. But the story of the past is open to interpretation.
Oh, and she's got that thing where she can't say Oz. She does the woo. Instead of the R, she says woo. I noticed. So, by the way, this guy at Fairmont Ridge cannot stand British accents, he told me. And I said, say what? But I said it more like this. Say what? And so, yeah.
He's got his little slippers on again, and he is riding upon a strange creature.
He's riding upon a creature.
It doesn't look much like a camel, but that's
slightly stylized camel, yes.
And he's representing.
He's representing the East India Company, isn't he?
History is on the side of the sepoys.
The sepoys.
But in 1857, it was a very different story.
It was a very different story back then. Yes. So I mean, this show. Okay, so her name is Lucy Worsley. It would be Lucy Worsley, and she's got all these shows on that BBC produced, BBC4, I think, and they're all on YouTube. So you can watch it for free. There, I just saved you a chunk of cash. So there's this other interesting thing to catch. And today's podcast, I guess, is just all about me talking about fantastic free media that you can watch and observe. And one of them is this podcast that I think WNYC is producing. And WNYC, of course, New York, right in the middle of New York. Well, it's actually in Soho. And I stayed in a hotel. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Which for free. I stayed at this hotel for free because I had all these American Express points. I was using their Starwood card, where all the points you made went towards hotels. And I spent so much money one year when we moved to Alabama, so we had all these points we could use. We went to New York and stayed for free, like for 4 nights. It was great. And right across from, I could see from our window, we were like on the 20th floor, maybe more than that. Looking across, there was the WNYC studios. And I was, whoa, that's cool. And my then wife was like, yeah. Whoa. But I was, whoa. And yeah, so WNYC is helping to produce this podcast called Trump Inc. And it's all about these reporters that have been trying to look into, well, did Trump divest? You know, when a guy becomes a president, it has always been the case that they divest and they don't keep running the company that they came from. They don't keep they separate themselves from that. Well, Trump hasn't done that at all, not at all. He's just sort of buried the store, and he's got Ivanka, and she's part of the White House, but yet she still gets to keep promoting her clothing line, and the news doesn't really talk about it because I guess nobody's interested in it, and because Trump would keep yelling at them, fake news.
You are fake news.
Fake news. Fake news. So
listen to this wonderful podcast called Trump Inc., and it'll tell you all about it. And it's very well done, and it's not done in that pretentious This American Life sort of way. It's people, and it's not horribly scripted to where there's no... you're reading from a piece of paper, all this stuff, and you're just like, come on, how come you sound... It's good. Now I'm going to read to you because I'm a hypocrite. But the Colin Kaepernick collusion case, which has wonderful alliteration, and I had no idea existed, against NFL owners is still in process. There's a new report from CBS. Kaepernick's attorneys and the league recently exchanged almost 100,000 documents. Kaepernick's lawyers sought electronic communications, texts, emails, etc. from numerous league and team employees, including high-ranking NFL officials, coaches, general managers, etc., 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 etc. So there's something going on with that, which I don't really care about because I don't really follow sports. But hey, the stock market went back up yesterday, but they just opened lower apparently. So we're not going to talk about the stock market. I'm not a business talk radio type podcast, and I produce a guy who does that type of show, and when I hear him talk and do a show, I realize there's no way that I could do a show like that.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, to do that, I'd be out of my mind.
Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, and that's all these sound effects that I tell the guy at Fairmount Ridge in Podcaster Valley. You look out over the wonderful bay, the East Bay and the Bay Area, you can see all the way to San Francisco, that new tower thing they got there that looks like it's going to launch up into the space world and go into... It looks so futuristic. And that's what I talk about on my podcast. So I don't talk business stuff. Hey, there's Mike. He's here early. Wow, damn. So, okay, T-Mobile customers have recently text message alerts warning them about an industry-wide phone number port-out scam. So the alert is authentic. A company spokesperson said that the company is alerting its entire post. I saw the little light was on. What little light? On the rack. All is well. Okay. Good. That's not John Deere, the engineer. That was Mike, the engineer, who works at the company I work for. Did you hear the headphones hit the floor? As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. That's what this podcast is about. That scams, T-Mobile. I would never use T-Mobile. I'll tell you why. You go into their store, and those young, impressionable, bright-eyed kids, they just, hey, you want to buy this? We got a couple of deals going on. And no. But you go into a Cricket wireless store, it's that crazy green, that, I don't know what color green. That green is just, it's soothing and annoying at the same time. But I talked to a young girl at a T-Mobile, Cricket store last week, and she was the nicest girl, and she was telling me all about her dog, and we talked about dogs, and it was wonderful. And I'm trying to find my Cricket sound effect, which I can never find. There it is. So I'd rather go into a store like that, because I've met nothing but nice people at Cricket stores. T-Mobile, they're obnoxious. Hey, U.S. Air Force. Oh, and here's another thing. Just want to throw this out here. Ozo Motley, okay, great band. How come whenever I meet an Ozo Motley fan with an Ozo Motley shirt on, they are annoying as hell? They're mean. They won't talk to me or engage. It's like, I go, hey, Ozo Motley's a great band. And they look at me and go, what? You know, do you have that problem too? Did I just talk about something that nobody else has any idea what I'm saying? Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. The bombing A U.S. Air Force B-52 dropped record number of precision bombs on the Taliban. It's part of a 96-hour air campaign that struck training facilities and sources of revenue like narcotics. It was also aimed at stolen Afghan National Army vehicles being converted to vehicle-borne vehicles. Okay, and this show is really great today. There was a football player's death turned into a political exhibit. The driver was drunk, the police said. His blood alcohol content nearly 3 times legal limit. One of his victims was an NFL linebacker who was just reaching his prime. But on Tuesday, 2 days after the crash, it was the driver's immigration status that moved Trump to post his first tweet of the morning, where he said, "So disgraceful that a person illegally in our country killed Colts linebacker Edwin Jackson. This is just one of many such preventable tragedies. We must get the Dems to get tough on the border and with illegal immigration fast. And to build that wall."
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively.
Yet, according to the New York Times, decades of research have shown that immigrants are less prone to commit crimes and to be incarcerated than people born in the U.S. But more and more lately, Trump has been using individual criminal cases to advance an argument that illegal immigration, as well as many forms of legal immigration, is dangerous to Americans and must be curbed. To wit, the State of the Union address a week ago, where he brought up that it had the family of the girls that were killed and said, it was all the immigrants' fault. Immigration. And that's the end of the show. I hope you had a wonderful time as we did a jovial romp through today's news and today's world and what it's like living in the East Bay and Podcaster Valley and people that talk to you and ask you how your podcast is, and they don't care, really, because they're more interested in talking sports with the guys that are walking their dogs in the Fairmont Ridge area. But Basil had a fun time being on today's show, and I hope you did listen and enjoy that, and you weren't too annoyed by the smell of the horse, Nilly, nor were you annoyed by the cricket green that we had today that we mentioned. Next show, it's going to be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Thank you.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.